The Spanish Announce Table.
Episode 391 of the Spanish Announce Table. Tom, I am excited to be here right now with, all of you watching live right now, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Tom over the Zoom call. I'm happy to be here with you as well. How are things, Tom?
Things are going well. I tell you what, I'm having fun. I just recently got my AEW crate in the mail, got a Wardlow signed picture. I got this great Britt Baker DMD shirt. Decided to pair it up with Value Her Choice, vote no. Coming up here in Kansas. I'm not in Kansas, I'm on Missouri, but it's the state line. So you need to do that.
Yeah.
Over here in Missouri, we
just got the yard sign.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, things are going to get real crazy with this whole states' rights thing coming soon here in America, but that's it.
That
is what it is. That is what it is.
I got a pair of headphones, some acclaimed headphones came in it this month. I got a CM Punk t-shirt, which is good because I haven't got a CM Punk t-shirt in a long time. I think the first time we met, or actually the first time that we met a wrestler was Kofi Kingston, and I was wearing a CM Punk shirt back then. I should tell you how long ago that was.
That was a while ago.
That was before this show. That was for the Fight Show Live.
That was.
We didn't even have podcasts at that time.
Yep.
Yeah. Just hanging out, enjoying my AEW merchandise. And last night we had an AEW Dynamite, and that was a lot of fun. So that's on my side. Tim, what about you?
Same old, right? Living life over here, watching the wrestling, just getting excited to talk about it. We had a fun Dynamite last night. It is Thursday night for anybody listening on the podcast. If you're only listening on the podcast, you're behind the times. You're behind the times. Get with the hip crowd over here on the YouTube. That's youtube.com/Spanish Announce Tube, twitch.tv/Spanish Announce Table, and Twitter, as you all know, is at Table Show, of course. Live on all those three. Simul streaming, which I don't know if that's actually a word yet still, but we don't fact check.
Like it.
But let's talk about some wrestling, Tom. We had some fun stuff.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So last night, AEW Dynamite kicked off Fyter Fest night 1, week 1, and we came out of the gates hot. We came out starting off the show with a TNT championship match. We had champion, newly crowned in his first title defense, Wardlow, taking on Orange Cassidy. This I thought was a lot of fun. Tim, what did you think?
Not only was this fun, this was almost a clinic in how to get a new guy over. Not hurting his opponent in doing so. In fact, the opponents who got over Wardlow in this, but they were still both baby faces. So much fun in this. I mean, to the manager's licenses for the best friends, to the chainsaw. I mean, just so many of these fun spots.
A chainsaw
that we've discussed. There was so much story in this match and how we like stories. And later there's a tag team match that I also love, but it involves the Young Bucks. And we talk about how I would much rather see what we saw in this opening match than almost any Young Bucks match, right? Yes, it was cheeky. Yes, it was comedy based. Yes, it was full of spots, quote unquote. But it wasn't what I would call a spot fest, if that makes sense. Right. And I loved every bit of this. All of it.
So here's my question. So we'll kind of spoil the result first. Wardlow ends up retaining his title over Orange Cassidy with the power bomb and then the pin. But here's my question to you. So now Wardlow is in this interesting spot, I think, because the way he's, got to the position he's in right now is, one, he was the sympathetic, bodyguard to MJF, right? And it was, oh man, once we unleash Wardlow on everyone, he's going to take over the world. Okay, great. Then we got past that. And then he became the unstoppable beast, that's power bombing 32 security guards a night. And that was great. But then he's accomplished the goal. So now he's the champion. So what would you do in this position? Because I don't know if you necessarily can say each and every week he's going to Goldberg quote unquote, his opponent, because then it's like, okay, cool. And that's fun, but we kind of already seen that before. And he can't be sympathetic because he's the champion, right? So where do you put him as far as this
I don't know.
position?
This was fun for this. And I think you could pull this off a couple times with a couple other people, like a Cutie Marshall comes to mind or whatever, right? Like he works over some people who know how to, carry a match for 10, 15 minutes and make them look like $1 million using some pretty classic tactics. But yeah, as far as like the Wardlow character, I don't know, because it's like you're saying, I'm not sympathetic because look at him.
Right.
And, he's not really been put in that sort of peril. So, I mean, the only thing is you've got to get almost a faction of heels after him that he's got to overcome. A House of Black comes to mind, maybe, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. Because, outside of that, like, he's not chasing anything anymore. And he's not an underdog that we're rooting, who's going to get by on the skin of his teeth. Right. I do like that. I mean, he is somewhat new, so the veteran was able to kind of work him over and almost steal one from him. I like that idea.
I did. Yeah. And this did have a lot of fun stuff. One of the things I did like is how, as you mentioned, the best friends did a pre-match interview. Like, we're going to cheat.
So fun. Yeah, a lot.
Like, we're going to cheat a lot.
I love that.
Because they're baby faces and not like well practiced at cheating, they just screw it all up. They brought a chainsaw. Like, what the hell was that?
I love that, like, Taz didn't even see what it was, right? He's like, well, they got some hedge trimmers over there, and he's like, this is a chainsaw, man.
Yeah. And then I did like, even though, as you mentioned, there were moments in this match where Orange Cassidy, the veteran, was doing things to get the advantage over Wardlow, we did have Wardlow looking like not a fish out of water, where he was able to suspect, wait a minute, is this Danhausen underneath the ring? Yeah.
That was a good
God
spot.
Damn it. It's Danhausen. Get out of here. And that was the other cool thing, is because he could have instantly got boos if you grab Danhausen, you clothesline Danhausen, and you go, I'm the Wardlow. Like, I think what was great about this match was that Wardlow had the position of like, well, I get it, man, but like, did you have to do it this first time we fought? Like, you had to bring all this shit, So,
well, yeah, because it's faces, right? That he's fighting, so it was good. But it got Wardlow a chance to show a few other things. Like, he's got some athleticism, right? Like he can hang with an Orange Cassidy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I liked the match for that. If we're talking about the story arc of the Wardlow character, this felt like a spin the wheels kind of spot.
But like a good jumping off point, right? Like, you're going to have to do his first match against someone. If you're not wanting to tell the story of he power bombs someone 30 times and stands on their chest, which I thought was another good spot, is I can't remember, the F10 is what he calls it or something. It's like the Brock Lesnar F5, but he like spins him one more time. And he put his foot on Orange Cassidy's chest. And I was like, yikes. Cause that's going to make Orange Cassidy kind of look like a bum. And he's got wins over Jericho and people, that are prominent within the organization. So that Orange Cassidy kicks out of that saves him to be like, he's not just a victim, right? Or doesn't have to work for it.
I don't mind the idea that, like, a la RKO, if we get anybody Wardlow's facing that's a bit of a high flyer, that we get the like power bomb out of nowhere that ends the match, right? Like, if Wardlow gets you with the power bomb, it's lights out, right? So
definitely
get too close to his upper body and you're risking it, right? So I don't mind that necessarily, because that could stay steady, right? I mean, he could have 30-minute matches that, like, and he's facing one of the Young Bucks or whomever, right? Or Kenny Omega or something, right? And and they go for some weird Hurricane Rana, and it's like, nope, bam, done, foot on the chest, it's over, right? I don't mind that.
Which, by the way, quick correction here, it's a Frankensteiner. Scott Steiner invented the damn move. These damn Lucha Libres took it away from him. It's a Frankensteiner, for Christ's sake. No, I'm kidding. After the match, the champion did show respect, put out the fist bump. Orange Cassidy, staying true to who he was, did the limp wrist fist bump back to him. And that's, again, the other thing that I liked about this, is because during the match, there were some chance for Orange Cassidy, and Wardlow could have easily done the, meathead gym guy where he's like, well, I'm just gonna smash, and it's like, okay, Ryback, right? Like, that's a kind of a bullshit thing to do. I like that he was like still a good guy, even though he had to win the match.
Like with the Danhausen thing, he was like he he had empathy for him almost.
Yeah,
it was like,
he's
look
like,
at this
I
fucking.
get it, but-
Get it.
Yeah,
Well, and I love that
look-
Danhausen even's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna try this. Like,
not
you
gonna-
fucking just,
We
you know
know
what I mean?
this.
You do your thing, beat their ass. It's fine. We'll talk later.
Which side note, quick little side note about Danhausen's curses. Because he didn't curse Wardlow, the curse still stays true. Every time Wardlow has done, or excuse me, every time Danhausen has done some type of curse, there has been bad consequences afterwards.
Except for one man.
Well, he didn't. He couldn't. He tried, but it didn't work because you can't curse Hook.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, he
That's
tried,
right.
but it didn't work because Danhausen acknowledged it. He goes like, this isn't working.
Why is it? Yeah, it's Hook.
But everyone he has, Tony Nese, even the first time he debuted, Adam Cole, all of those people have had bad consequences immediately after the curse. But he doesn't curse Wardlow, so then everyone saves face. Wardlow still looks awesome. Danhausen keeps his curses, and then Orange Cassidy got an orange punch out of it too.
Backstage interview, was that Dynamite or Rampage? When did we see that? When they asked Hook, isn't it time for a title shot or something? And he was like, and just hooked out of there. Was that Dynamite or was that Rampage? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Dynamite. It was the Dynamite we went to, which they didn't appear
there was
until
something this week here, right?
Oh, the last week when he did the little one-off promo kind of thing.
Yeah, they were like in a stairwell. And,
I didn't see this.
They were in a stairwell, and it was I think it was Paige's daughter, if I'm not mistaken, and she was like, she was like, don't you think this, like, you know, you've been stacking up some victories or undefeated, like, don't you think that means you're in line for championship contenders or something like that? And he just kind of like looked at her and didn't say shit and walked out. You know what I mean?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so
that's interesting
because that piqued me up. I was like, are we gonna actually? I mean, you don't do that for no reason, right? They don't ask that specific question for no reason.
Interesting. More to come from that here soon, I guess. Okay, so then the championship match is over. Champion shows his respect. Challenger respects the match itself as well. And then we move on to the next thing. The next thing being Chris Jericho. And
looking like an usher at a movie theater.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't think he gets that, like, the Painmaker is not as fucking cool as he thinks it is. Neat. You're going to go up against, like, again, let's keep kayfabe here for a second. You're going to go up against Eddie flippin' Kingston, who wants to see your blood and potentially kill you. And your retort is, but I'm going to put on a hat and some spooky makeup.
You know, I think this is, if I had to guess, I know we don't like to do this because we're trying to stick to storylines here, but I'm guessing behind the scenes Eddie Kingston wanted this because he's a big Japan mark. And we've discussed it here. Nothing is cool in Japan. So, whatever. I don't know.
Well, we've seen the Painmaker. So this is where I think I would have done this. Two things I thought were not great about this promo. One, it was too long. Two, it was in the ring. And you know how I feel about in-ring promos. If there's not an interviewer, the only time the ring should be used is for actual matches. I just don't like that kind of thing. Unless Tony Schiavone calls you out and says, we want to talk to you in front of the fans, you shouldn't just be walking out by yourself.
I even don't mind if we're doing, like, I get the contract signing and then the guys cut a promo on each other. Yeah,
right.
That makes
totally
sense.
Fine.
That's something a fighting company, if I were watching a fighting company, that's something they would do, is hold a press conference in the ring. That's not out of the realm of realism. Right.
Exactly. So didn't like that it was in the ring. And I also thought it was way too long. What I would have done to get over, again, one of the lamer gimmicks in AEW, the Painmaker, is we have seen the Painmaker in AEW, and he beat Nick fucking Gage. That's how you show the Painmaker. You say, when Chris Jericho taps into this part of his personality, this is what happened, and show Nick Gage bleeding from the head, show him going through that shattered glass. Like, that's how you get it over. But for Chris Jericho just to have a microphone in his hand and say, like, but you're going to get the Painmaker. One, if you're a new listener, or excuse me, a new fan of AEW, you may not know what the hell that is,
right?
Which again is a big Achilles heel for AEW. And two, you don't see it, right? You need to see the violence of what this means. I can tell you,
there was no
you're
imagery.
not getting you're not getting Thomas on this podcast episode. You're getting T-Mac. And it's like, if you don't get the stupid ass rants, you don't know what the fuck that means. Right. Like, so you can't just say something without really.
Yeah. You could have taken
knowledge.
some of the 5 minutes and done a video package to kind of remind us of who the pain maker is.
That's
supposed
how I
to
would
be.
have done this. Right.
Yeah. And I just don't, like you said, it's one of the more weirder versions of the Jericho that we've gotten over the years. And it just.
Oh, I think it's just dumb. I think it's just the Wizard. Like, I said this on
Wizard
Twitter.
is pretty dumb.
Yeah. At Table Show on Twitter. We live tweet during Dynamite and Rampages. But like, it should. Hindsight's 2020, even though I think we both said it going into it. But like, the Chris Jericho character peaked and should have ended with the MJF 5 Labors of Jericho. It should have been Jericho gets through Juventud Guerrera, Nick Gage, all the fucking things, but then loses to MJF. MJF gets that feather in his cap. Jericho goes to commentary. There you go. And then like from now, a year later, then Jericho can come back out from the commentary booth and take on Adam Cole or whoever it is. But ever since that MJF feud, Chris Jericho just feels stale, lame, and out of touch. And I understand the blood and guts match was fun, but like that was Eddie Kingston carrying the feud. It had nothing to do with Jericho, right? It could have been anyone. A fill in the blank heel. It was Eddie Kingston carrying it. So I hope when they do this match next week, barbed wire everywhere with a shark cage on top of it, which good Christ. Let's be done with Jericho. That's what I want. I want Eddie Kingston to win, gets the blood, does the BJ pin for MMA fans, wipes it on his chest and licks it. And then Jericho's like, this is now past my time. Like, I can't hang with these guys anymore. And so I'm going to go up to Rampage and just call Rampages from now on.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't hate it. I think you're right. It would have been a great, tying of the bow of the Jericho career, right? At the 30 years of Jericho.
All of it. Yep.
All of it when all of that happened. But of course we didn't do that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's just, this is all about Eddie Kingston here, right? He's got to win this. He's got to kill the Painmaker, right? Mm-hmm. And then enjoy it and laugh about it, right? War paint himself up like William Wallace with his blood, right? Like we got
exactly. So this brings me to the next thing. We then get an Eddie Kingston promo. It is not long, but it is to the point. It is direct. And I actually like the best part of it. Obviously, Eddie Kingston's Eddie Kingston, and he's awesome. But if you caught the nonverbals from Ruby Soho and Ortiz here, they almost felt like, God damn it, Chris! Like you had to get this guy fucking all fired up.
Yeah, they
now
look
everyone's gonna suck for it. Yeah, he took off. Yeah. Ortiz's hat and says like, look what you did to him. He made Ruby show her wrist because she didn't really necessarily want to. She was like, looking down, kind of like a dog who got caught peeing in the house, kind of like just putting her arm up. And Eddie's like, you're going to pay for all of this. And I think if we would have got some comments from them, I almost felt like they're like, man, you just shouldn't have done any of this, Chris. Yeah. Like, fuck, this is going to suck for everyone. Like,
we're gonna get
he's not going to be fun to hang out with for this week.
I have to bury a body, and then I got an answer to that. And I don't want to,
yeah. And then we got to hear about it for the, coming weeks afterwards until he hates the next person. Like, Chris, you're really
he's always weird for like 3 weeks after one of these. It's so weird.
Yeah. It sucks, man. I thought the Eddie Kingston promo was phenomenal.
Oh, so great. Well, I love too that he pointed out, he's like, yeah, he gets 5 minutes. I go, whatever. Right? Like,
and then this is my outro line. Like he just is like, I don't.
He's used that a couple times now, right? Like, this is my exit line.
Whatever. I'm done. I don't have no catchphase. This is stupid.
That feels like somebody told him like, you got to come up with an exit line. He's like, fuck you.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's Eddie Kingston. Yeah. Right. Because what is his catchphrase? That's the other awesome thing about Eddie Kingston is he's one of the greatest guys. Or talents, because females are also amazing, because we'll talk about Britt Baker here in a second, which she did great. But he doesn't have any DMD or like he's just Eddie.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it felt like that is starting to feel like his Marshawn launches. I'm just here so I won't get fined, right? Like
exactly.
I gotta have an outline.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I love him. He's awesome. So then we get back in the ring and we got a match that I understand what we're trying to do, but it didn't make sense. And I'll talk about why it didn't make sense. But the next matchup was Jon Moxley, your interim AEW champion, taking on Takashi.
Take a shit.
Nailed it. Huh?
It's take a shit, right? Take shitta?
Sure. Takashi. I'm going to call him Takashi because that seems a little bit more.
I think it's take shit A. Take shit.
That seems disrespectful.
Okay.
So I'm going to call him Takashi because, again, he was good. But here's where the match doesn't make sense to me. Rewind back to last episode of Rampage, and Eddie Kingston takes on Takashi, and Eddie Kingston beats him. So then logically, it doesn't make any flipping sense that then he would get AEW World Championship qualifier match against Jon Moxley.
Interim World Championship. And just what more of a way are you telling me all I need to hear is that, like, this is going right back to CM Punk as soon as we get there?
Well, so one thing I liked about this match was commentary. Tony Schiavone mentioned a couple different times, what do you think is going through the mind of CM Punk watching Jon Moxley go through a Brody King, going through this Takashi, looking dominant in blood and guts. So I do like that this guy's building up a head full of steam. Like, CM Punk is going to come in here rusty. He might get fucked up. I like that part of what they're trying to tell the story of. I just think if you're going to say Jon Moxley needs to get this new talent over, awesome, then don't have him lose on Rampage the Friday before, because I know who's going to win.
Yeah.
Like, why did I ever?
I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. You know what I mean?
But let's just say he does win. Let's say he does beat Jon Moxley.
Yeah, okay, right. He won't.
But let's say he did. So you're trying to say he's better than our interim world champ, but he's not better than Eddie Kingston. But Eddie Kingston isn't going for a title because I guess he just hates Jericho and that's all is consumed with. Like, bad booking. That's bad booking. But like we said, he looked good. I wasn't saying like this match was fun, but the outcome was written on the wall before they even rang the bell.
Well, yeah, and there's no reason for me to care.
That's the thing.
Even if I believe it's real, right? And the reason I care is because title's on the line. I'm to expect people can have a puncher's chance, right? But then if this guy, forget his name, forgive me, wins the title, well, if he takes it back to New Japan, well, then I still don't care because I'm not seeking it out. I'm not going to go follow him and watch what he does with the title. I'm just going to keep watching AEW, see what they do without a title.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is the interim championship, but still, it just.
But you know what I mean? Like, unless that guy's suddenly going to be around being the new champ, well, then it's, that's the most enjoyment that I would get, but it would just be a shock value of like.
Well, then if he did become, because again, he would have to win this match and then take on Moxley for the interim championship, which is, again, another stupid concept in pro wrestling. That's just this recent weird thing that everyone's copying WWE on. Makes no sense. Anyhow, but if he did win that interim championship, then Eddie Kingston should get the first shot because he just beat him.
So hear me out on that too. By proxy, we used to have non-title matches with the champion. And it was always known if you beat a champion in a non-title match, well, you get a title match. So that's what we have here. All of a sudden, you're just calling it this like chance to get a title shot match. Well, that's what every time you wrestled a champion in a non-title match, that's the fucking rules as I understood it.
Right. But
so this is nothing different about this particular match.
Oh, but here's the thing. Like, let's go quick deep dive into the real world of pro wrestling, right? The real world of if you're the champion, then championship matches make you more money than not being the champion. Why would you ever do a non-title match? And
in the title match, you have the champion's advantage where you can keep the title on DQ or count out. So non-title match, you're just delaying that, right? Like so I get in the storylines when there's like either authority figure or challenger is like, I want you, and the champion or the authority figure is like, fine, but you don't deserve a title shot, but you'll get the match, and then you can prove you deserve the title shot, right? Like. But that's usually like in a storyline, right? Like and then it's it's non-title, but if you beat him, then you get the thing. Like if it's using a storyline, I get that. Like let's say Eddie Kingston's lost to Wardlow 3 times, and he's like, "No, fuck that. I want that title." And he's like, "Man, you know what I mean? Like, all right, final time, but you don't get the title shot now, right? Like it's you got to beat me before you get away." I don't know.
Even that doesn't make any sense because again,
yeah, he would have fought him 3 times.
Well, but then not even that, but he would go, I don't want to waste my time making a third of the money I could in a championship match. So you go wrestle that other person. And then if you beat that other person, then me and you can do a championship match because my time is money. That's how this capitalistic society fucking works. And so I'm not going to wrestle for less money just for shits and giggles. Like that's the part that makes no sense in this kayfabe world is we've been told, JR loves to say it every 5 seconds, he gets a chance that champions make more money. So why would you ever want to make less money wrestling when you're the champion? Non-title matches are the dumbest thing in the world, unless, like you said, an authority figure says you have to wrestle tonight or you're suspended or you're fired.
Yeah, right.
Okay, great. I get that. But if you're just dicking around with the belt and you do a non-title match, I think you're a dum-dum. Right?
At Theo on the Twitch chat says, "Am I getting charged to hear T-Mac yak on stream?" I don't know what that.
Maybe give us some money.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yes,
you can.
Yeah, you got to pay your fee.
Can.
You got to pay your fee on SpanishDownstable.net. It says donate, but you know, I mean, that's where you pay.
No, donate, give, whatever.
Well, and he brought up, speaking of fees, he brought up. He said Vince McMahon should give $3 million to the Spanish Announce Table.
Vince McMahon should do a lot of things, but.
Yeah, but
yes.
I mean, it should start with giving $3 million to the Spanish Announce Table.
Don't hate that idea. Hey, let's get back into AEW Dynamite. Next up, we got Luchasaurus versus Griff Garrison, and this was, in my opinion, this is the first time, in my opinion, Christian misfired. I think, look, the Varsity Blondes are out there. Brian Pillman Jr. We know the backstory. Brian Pillman's Junior's father has passed away. He's a pro wrestler, but it felt like, hey, so whose dad is dead this week?
Yeah, who else's dad died?
Yeah.
I like the part of like, doesn't he look like Jungle Boy? Because he does, but now that feels like now you got to not look like Jungle Boy anymore.
Right. Just cut hair.
Like now
I just grab scissors.
Change.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Now something's got to change. I would have preferred Christian say. I think the better heel move is he says nothing. Right? He comes out, everybody's like, what's Christian going to say next? And he's just like, fuck these guys.
Yes.
Go kill them. You know what I mean? Like,
you're put in a bad spot for 2 reasons, in my opinion. One, now you're kind of playing the hits, just like I said, whose dad is dead? Let's get you out there. And 2, I love Christian, but no one has eviscerated another talent on the microphone like MJF did to Brian Pillman Jr. in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Metheny and all of the stuff. Like that was an all-time. You're not topping that.
That was good.
So like, again, I understand you have an ego. I could probably do that too, but like you can't, right? Someone should have, maybe checked Christian here and just be like, hey man, we already did all this stuff with MJF. Like you don't need to try to top that.
Especially just because like we haven't seen Brian Pillman on Dynamite in a while. So like, it was like, oh, you're just like, because dad's dead.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'm curious about is, as you mentioned, Christian said to Luchasaurus, hey, doesn't he look like Jungle Boy? And then Luchasaurus just does the like,
the Festus.
Yeah, and goes after him. So, and I know it was teased, but then we didn't get the answer. I still want to know. So what? Why?
Now, why does even the sight of Jungle Boy piss off Luchasaurus? Because I thought Christian was maybe manipulating Luchasaurus into like, hey, look, it's still better for you
to be with me.
To be with me.
Right.
Like, this, right? Like, and then he's like, you know what I mean? Like, you're right. Look, Jungle Boy's gone. What the fuck are you going to do? Sit there and not collect pay? Like, I got you, man.
Yeah.
I got you.
But now it feels like Luchasaurus also has a beef with Jungle Boy, but that hasn't been explained.
And can be easily enraged because someone suggested that guy looked like him. Like suddenly he's not all with it anymore.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's fucking Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Exactly. Yeah. This is where we're
read a book, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Hey, look, check this out. Kansas City Public Library, shout out. Look at them doing a summer reading challenge. Read a book, you brain dead idiots. Educate yourselves.
Hashtag read a book.
Yeah. PSA for your ass. Stop just saying I did my own research when you Googled something and only looked at the first page of Google, which is all ads.
I want to preface. I want to like make sure we like don't read a book right now. Finish this podcast, live stream, whatever. Then read a book.
I don't care. Read a book. Just have
you can come back. You can come back and watch later.
I have it on while you read. I don't care.
True that. Put it on play in the background. Every device you have. Sign into multiple accounts and just occasionally just hit the heart.
There it is. No, we
or
really
the thumbs up, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, but seriously, read a book, but also support us. We like to hear from you. Hashtag tweet table. We'll get into those in a little bit. But let's get back to Dynamite. So yeah, Luchasaurus defeats Griff Garrison, puts him through a table, and we're done.
Oh, before we move on, were we done with that match?
Yeah.
You mentioned tweet the tables, and I forgot about tweet the tables. So let's go to one of those.
All right, let's
At Devil Vamp says, this is how you make Wardlow entertaining. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. Hashtag tweet the table.
That match, that deserves a response. That match was, I thought, the perfect definition of what makes AEW so much fun. Everything about it. Wardlow being dominant, Orange Cassidy with the comedy, Orange Cassidy with the athleticism, Wardlow with the athleticism, the false finishes, the crowd into it, the chants, all of it. Like that, if you could put what is AEW in 2022, in my opinion, you would present that match as one of the examples.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, from start to finish, from the intros, well, minus the
oh my God. Well, no,
issue.
that is AEW in 2022.
Yeah.
Within the first second, the producer takes the wrong shot. How dumb. Like, fire all of them.
You went to the Wardlow entrance on the Orange Cassidy entrance.
You know why? Because he doesn't probably know his numbers. He said, ready camera 3, take camera 5. And then the producer hits 5 and is like, what?
Well, because Wardlow's entrance cuts to the back and then he walks out from the back to the, and I kind of wonder if they were like, if the person was in the mind frame that like, it's Wardlow entering first and then Orange Cassidy. And then
whatever it was, the take of the camera was wrong, and
because it took them a while to get back, because then they had to go to like 2 different cuts. Remember, they like cut to something else, and then they cut to Justin Roberts standing there looking like,
because it's the wrong button. You either have a bad producer telling the board op what the wrong numbers are, or it's the board op who can't read numbers and is touching the wrong tabs. It's one of the two. But here's the thing: fire all of them, because they're all really, really bad. Yeah,
I've seen them situations where it's like 3, they hit 4, and it was like I said 3. It's like, oh, back to 3, not 3, 5.
Yeah,
fuck,
exactly. You said 3. Yeah. So again, no one needs to be hired in front of the camera in AEW. It all needs to be behind the camera. I've been saying this for like a year and a half now, and that's just exactly, again, another definition of what AEW is in 2022. A fun, fantastic match, almost ruined from the jump because of bad production value. Anyhow, any more tweak tables before we get back into that?
No, the rest will fall in as we get there. There's still upcoming things, but I wanted to get that before we moved on too far.
Definitely. I like it. So then let's get into create a character 1 versus create a character 2 when Claudio takes on Jake Hager. Look, these are legitimately the characters you get. I guarantee you, when we get the new AEW video game by the end of this year, whenever that is, if you do create a character and they just give you a black silhouette, it's going to be Jake Hager. And then if you do it twice, then the other one's going to be Claudio. Because like that's all fun moves, neat athleticism, bland as paint drying personalities.
Yeah. We said this about the Cesaro Claudio Castagnoli character well before he came here.
And this is the thing also that I think is missing the mark is with Jon Moxley, he has that I'm going to make you see your own blood in this type of match, right? And with Bryan Danielson, he has the I'm going to make you suffer just so that you know you're 6 levels below me inside of this ring, right? And those two things have that, and then we're going to teach the rest of the roster how to be like this as they progress, right? But with Claudio, he just came in and is like, hey, who wants to see the swing? Huh? Swing? And it's like, there's no qualities yet. And I get it. We've only seen him 3 times, but so far, this has been Cesaro with a new name. This has been no different personality trait like John Moxley and Bryan Danielson in Blackpool Combat Club.
I feel like when he was Claudio Castagnoli before coming in and he was Kings of Wrestling, had more personality than Cesaro or this version. Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels to me like, hey guys, I'm going to do my things. Are we happy? And it's like, okay, but you're in Blackpool Combat Club. I almost would say it's a, hey, he's trying to figure out who he is as he debuts in the company. Okay. But when you join a already established faction that has a vibe and a theme and a mission statement, and you're not doing that, man, you don't seem like you fit. What?
Does it though? Does
what?
Blackpool Combat Club have a defined theme and
I think so, but that's what I'm saying. Well, so again, what their stated mission is when they kind of came up with this is, let's take the younger guys, Willer Yuta, and make them in our image, right? As we kind of go into the latter half of our career, let's take these young guys to make sure that our style of wrestling isn't going to be cosplay young bucks everywhere. Okay. And then on top of that, the subtle differences, more subtle from Bryan Danielson than I think John Moxley, is the Bryan Danielson now, he's not just beating people. He's like rubbing it in your face. He's kicking your tooth out and then showing it to you, right? Like
right.
Daniel Bryan never did that. Even when he was the Planet's champion, he was just going like, you guys are all jerks, but I'm just going to win matches. Now he's doing and then look, this is your ass. It's in your mouth. Isn't that weird? And then with John Moxley, to me, he's nothing like Dean Ambrose. This is a psychotic, mentally ill. He has to work through violence to get into a right place of mind because he has a child at home kind of wrestler. And I like that. And he's also this is where people need to learn how to fucking wrestle. We fight here. We don't do this goddamn slap on the chest and jump up to the top rope shit. We punch each other in the mouth. And it's like, okay, that's what you guys want to teach the future? Awesome. And then you got Claudio who goes, nah, look at me. I'm Claudio. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, man, neat. The fuck are you doing with them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing uppercuts and swings, and neither of that says Blackpool Combat Club to me.
It's weird because I'm waiting to see a Claudio Castagnoli story, and we haven't got it. We didn't get a Cesaro one for a long time at the end, ever really, and I don't know.
And look, I'm glad they got it out of their system. We the people, all the fucking dorks wanted to chant it, so we chanted it, and hopefully we're wiping our hands of it and we're moving on. And now I hope we get to see what Claudio is. It felt like we did all the check mark boxes of, we want a technical match. Okay. We want a swing. Okay. Hey, remember Jake Hager? Yes, we'll do that one. Okay. And now let's get into some originality.
You mentioned them being a tag team. Like, this is a thing where, like, I would rather these guys be a tag team where, like, like Harper and Rowan were a tag team forever. And they never really, what they were known for was like putting on 5-star matches with the Usos and New Day every pay-per-view. But as far as like storylines, they were never really doing anything there either, because neither of them were really at a place where their skills were all that great to, you know what I mean, for them to be doing that. Outside of maybe Brody Lee could have been doing some things there. But like, you put them at where somebody else is the talking guy, and they're mainly involved in their storylines, but they're out there putting on those 5-star matches that we kind of care about by proxy due to the overarching storyline of their person. And maybe that was the idea with Blackpool Combat Club, but I don't know. It's not hitting here, right? Like, put them back together as a tag team and just have them be somebody's muscle, right? A la a Jericho Appreciation Society kind of shtick, right? Like MJF's muscle when he returns or something. And they just wrestle people to keep him off his back.
Who are you saying they? Who?
Cesaro and fucking Hager, right? Like, you take these two guys who can't speak.
Oh, those two.
I'm not going to care about them, but like, if you put them together and start having them put on clinics with people, then way better.
Look, Hager is a lost cause. That guy, again, no one cares about him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he doesn't care about him.
I know, but apparently they gotta use him up because they probably paid him a pretty penny.
Yeah. I think what they're doing is just keeping him on TV to make him a little bit more relevant to where when he goes back to Bellator, it wasn't like, oh yeah, you're still in AEW. It's like, yeah, we saw him 2 weeks ago. Oh yeah, they're still killing it. I mean, not killing it, like, but yeah, they're still
They're richer than we are.
Yeah, way richer than
Yeah.
us. They're doing okay. Scott Coker over there is making a pretty penny. So,
so you can.
They're owned by
the show.
Showtime, huh?
So they can sponsor the show.
They won't. They won't.
You want to ask?
Sure.
Let's ask.
Okay, here we go. So
we're watching right now.
Yeah, and then after Creative Character 1 took on Creative Character 2 and number 1 won, we moved on to the women because we got to cram the women in before the main event. Gotta cram the women in before the main event. I'm gonna make a song of this because I said this again on our Twitter page at Table Show. God, taxes, and you got to put the women right before the main event. We got Anna Jay versus Serena Deeb.
Got to tweet the table about it. Got to tweet the table about it. All right. At Brian, it's at B_Sheck, and it's Brian J. Bay says, Serena Deeb and Anna Jay's match was so flat, even Aubrey didn't get excited. Hashtag tweet the table. And yeah, it didn't really seem to go over so hot. It was, I love Serena Deeb, but I mean, this one just kind of, it was dead.
Well, but we knew exactly what was going to happen. Serena Deeb is taking on Mercedes Martinez at the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Anna Jay doesn't have any type of story. So what do you think is going to happen? Yeah. Again, we like moves. They're fine. They're serviceable. But what we watch are the stories. And if you give me paint by numbers women's wrestling match, I'm not going to be into it. Same with the men too, but I'm just saying in this example, it was the women. And so like, what did you expect? It was exactly what it was. And I get it. Sometimes we do need to get from point A to point C. You got to go through point B, right? And so like, there's a certain aspect of, we got to do it to get the story to make sense. But this was just filler, 100% filler. And that's what we got. Now, we did have a little bit of fallout. And this was, I think, a tad bit interesting. So post-match, Serena Deeb wins. She holds on to this lock too long. Mercedes comes out, chases off Serena. There we go. But we go backstage. Anna Jay's nursing her hurt knee or whatever it is. And then Conti walks out and is like, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, you suck. You need to think about what you're doing with your career. Because guess who doesn't suck? Me. Bye. And now is TJ gone, right? Are we getting a feud here? Or what do you think happens there?
Well, I think so, right? Because we're trying to sink in this Tay Conti as a heel, right? So,
or Dark Order is forever unless you're Anna Jay and you see the grass is greener on the other side with Jericho Appreciation Society, and there's my best friend. What the fuck are you guys doing? I'm out of here.
Dork Order.
Dork Order. I mean, right? What would you do? So would you say Tay Conti and Anna Jay reunite, but now they're heels, or would you make it a feud?
I mean, yes, if you're going to use them as, but I don't think you don't have like a female tag division. They're struggling to make good stories out of their females already, unless you think make it primarily a tag division or something, because that you're going to have better time telling stories there. But I don't know, because like it would just, what are they going to do? They're going to two woman power trip on people or something, maybe, you know, I don't know what else, what storyline are we going to do with two heel ladies here, you know?
Well, so I think what we could possibly do here, though, and I agree, there is no women's tag team division, but now we're starting to sign enough women to where we need to get our money's worth out of all of these women contracts. And so you do TJ versus Athena and Chris Statlander. Then you do TJ versus Mercedes Martinez and
Sasha Banks.
Oh, come man. I almost ended this call saying that. Oh, man, God bless
whatever name she's going under there.
I don't care. Hopefully it's extra in Star Wars movie. I don't get out of here. Let's get back to AEW. Also, before we get to the main event, some backstage promos took place. one of which was Thunderstorm. And Thunderstorm is just so happy. Side note, though, before we get into the promo, it was shown, and if you watched AEW Dark, which I thought was interesting, Thunder Rosa went over to Japan and lost a non-title match, which now means that lady comes over to America, fights for the AEW Women's Championship. That I thought was interesting.
Yep.
But then what I thought was weird is that Thunder Rosa is just like, man, Thunderstorm.
Yeah,
Yes.
again, we have here's our champ, right? And Thunderstorm was a great tag. If you had a women's tag team division, they look like a tag team. Their names fit perfectly for it. Great. Love it. But this is your world champion, right? Like, and and a person she just beat for that title too. Like, it just, right? Am I remembering this correctly? And so
last pay-per-view.
It just didn't make a lot of sense. But then it gets interrupted
by
the greatest.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Yeah.
And they proceed to just cut down Thunderstorm.
Just shit all over.
And a little bit of insider baseball, if you know kind of topic, where you know how you beat a thunderstorm with sandbags. As it's been reported online, Thunder Rosa kind of sandbags you if she doesn't want to do what you want to do.
Well, I love that she gave it to Tony and she's like, here, you try carrying her for 20 minutes. It's like, oh
yeah.
my God. And the look at the camera that she gave after that, like, fuck.
You know what's up.
Like,
so good. She was like, you know why I'm doing it. Like, and so Thunder Rosa, honestly, I don't know.
That just kind of killed it right there, didn't it? Like, that just kind of killed the Tony Storm. Yeah, like, or the Thunder Rosa. Like, that felt like, well, there's no coming back from this.
Take a look at the whole segment in its entirety. We start off with, hey, Thunder Rosa's our champ, but she lost in Japan to someone who's not on the roster. Strike one. Strike two. She's our women's champion, but she's just going to tag with Tony Storm because they're friends. And then strike three, Britt Baker comes in and just says, you suck. I'm the woman around here. You do nothing. You sandbag. I'm going to cut you down and do a little shoot promo on you.
Even Jamie Hayter got some shit talking in on her.
And Thunder Rosa said absolutely nothing. She just goes like, I would try. You're like, man, look, I like Thunder Rosa. As you can see on my water bottle, Thunder Rosa, I think is really cool. I might have to put an RIP in front of this because that almost killed her. Yeah. That's like, honestly, that's as close to The Rock doing the Billy prayer after Billy won King of the Ring and just murdering that push. As you can get. Like, I can't take Thunder Rosa seriously right now. She's going to have to do something, right? She's going to have to like thumbtack the whole division or something. But like, she's done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Did we already get, there was a House of Black promo also.
Yeah. So House of Black, that's I was going to get into that too. Yeah. So House of Black, which man, Buddy Matthews looked really weird cutting this promo. Because it wasn't him.
Well, so at Devil Vamp on Twitter says, what happened to Murphy in House of Black? Hashtag tweet the table. Well, I mean, do we really want him in House of Black? I don't think he fits. At least with the Julia Hart, like she's, you know what I mean? Like at least we got that story arc of like they, you know what I mean, spit in her face and made her go crazy.
Yeah.
But here,
look, I don't think that you need tattoos to be in the House of Black, right? So I don't think you need to look like a tattoo artist to be in there.
But his whole look still doesn't fit it. Like it doesn't look dark and
he's just wearing black pants.
It's like, Billy Kidman put in more effort when he joined the Flock.
Like, oh, good callback.
You know what I mean? Like at least he made it look like he hadn't bathed in a week.
Yeah.
Like,
good
how
call.
are you still tan? Dude, you can't go here. You go in the tanning booth in the House of Black? Don't make any fucking sense.
I like that. That's a great call.
Fuck.
Yeah, so they call it Darby Allin. I think on Friday we're gonna get Brody King versus Darby, I think that's what
Darby. He was like, don't put your hand out to me. Like, bitch boy, like I've been fucking murdering people since before you were, you know what I mean? Even a fucking thing. Yeah, like, I mean, I like that. I like that Brody King being like, bitch, I'm sorry. You think you're of position to congratulate me? Like, I'm going to fucking eat you now. Like, I like that kind of visceral attitude from him. I like that.
But if we keep going with Darby and Sting versus House of Black, the godfather of all this goth shit, Sting, what's he gonna do? Right?
Oh,
then
probably
is he gonna
jump
go
off
back
of
in the rafters? Yeah. What I mean is he gonna go back into being the reclusive? Oh man, you guys have hurt my feelings. I'm in the
Sting could lead the
rafters.
Dark Order.
We've talked about this before. I still think it's a great idea. Something that soap operas take advantage of that wrestling doesn't is use senior members to further something, right? Have a hierarchy of Sting doesn't have to be on every week, but when decisions need to be made for a faction, they go to a council, they go to a leader, someone like that. The NWO you could legitimately still do if you used, unfortunately now just Kevin Nash and Sean Waltman as the NWO is, again, we couldn't call them in AEW NWO, but whatever it is,
The band,
the clique, right? And go to them and say like, hey, in 98, you also had this issue with a member who's getting a little squirrely. What do we do? And then they say, we're kicking them out. And then boom, right? And then once they go, then you can have Adam Cole be the next fucking guy as the senior leader or whatever. Like, but we don't do that because it's just anyhow. So yeah, Sting leading the House of Black.
We've talked about how like it would be weird, and I get like why we had suggestions for Hangman to lead the Dark Order, and that doesn't like yes. Could be great, but people are like, it's Brody Lee, he died. You kind of can't do that, right? But like a guy like Sting, like absolutely could and can. And if Brody Lee were alive today, would be like, absolutely, if he could take the guys that I was working with and elevate them to a level that Sting could that I couldn't, absolutely, he would have loved that. So like a guy like Sting leading the Dark Order could be an amazing thing.
And one other note that I'll say is, outside of even soap operas, look at real gangs, like legitimately Bloods, Crips, Trent Coat Mafia, things like that. There are senior leaders who are no longer running the corners, but they go to fucking make decisions on bigger items.
I got how this works. All right. So this could fit with numerous heels, but the first thing that comes to mind is like Kenny Omega's back. He's got his band back together, the Young Bucks and all his little stupid cronies, and they're all running shop. And they start making fun of Sting for some reason because he's old and he's Sting, right? And he's wearing a shirt and stuff like that, right? Like, oh, did I throw that in? Sorry. Just making fun of Sting, right? To where Sting's like, whatever, and they're like, oh, you spooky Sting, right? They're all making fun of that. Like, what are you going to do? Boo, right? Like, what are you, a ghost? And then he's like, these people must have forgot who I am. But the only people who are still giving him credence, because like it rubs off, right? Like everybody's kind of like, yeah, Sting, you're old. What do you give a shit? The only people who are still treating him like the veteran he deserves to be, the one with any sort of respect, is them fellas from the Lovable Dork Order, right? And he's like, I think I can help us both out, guys. Right? Like,
I mean, I like that.
Right?
I like that. So that leads us into the next promo. So backstage, really quick, Hangman looking super pale.
Yeah.
And I think maybe drunk.
Yeah.
Like, not like legitimately. Right. I think he was trying to be drunk. Starts a promo with Tony Schiavone, but then Reynolds and Silver come in and are like, we're tagging next week. And he's just like, okay.
All right, fine.
And here's my only kind of, now, if it leads to something and this was the start of it, awesome. However, watching this as a standalone, it made me a little sad because it wasn't but 6 weeks ago that he was the number one guy in the promotion. He was your champion. He was on the posters. He was doing the interviews. He was doing the meet and greets. And now he doesn't even get a full paragraph out. And he's with the Dork Order.
It kind of fits where Hangman had, if this is that route we're going, where Hangman's self-esteem issues always lurk in the background, where he stumbles one little misstep and man, he just falls, right? Like if
that's the story we're telling, awesome. But if this just leads to Hangman and the Dark Order get a 6-man tag win next week, man, I don't have a lot of confidence in what we're doing with our cowboy.
Unless we get Dark Cowboy, the Hangman leads the Dark Order.
Yeah. Or we get a heel Hangman and he turns his back on the Dork Order.
Yep.
And
or
then
both.
says,
He's a heel Dark Cowboy leading the heel Dark Order.
I mean, I like that. But then they'd have to get some the only one.
Yeah, I feel like it would be him manipulating, right? Like him,
but like
kind of using.
The only one he could really use is 10, right? John Silver ain't beating anyone. Alex Reynolds looks like a fucking.
Oh, but all they got to do is evil,
shit.
Dirty work behind. Just bring a chainsaw,
I mean, obviously, chainsaws work. And then the other promo I want to talk about that was backstage was Jade Cargill and the Baddies.
There's another one too that we got to talk about, but this one was good too.
Yes. And Stokely Hathaway loves the Baddies just like Wu-Tang loves the children. But apparently Kiera Hogan and Jade Cargill do not like
Still
this
don't
new
like
baddie.
this. Yeah, this is interesting. So they've done a good left turn with the Jade Cargill thing where she was just beating everybody because it was kind of like she's the second mid-tier champion. Like, this has got to come to a head. But now we're buying time with this internal struggle amongst the baddies, right? Like, maybe she just eventually casts them all aside, like, fuck you, I don't need none of this, right? Like, and maybe that's where we emerge out of this. But it's good because it is biding time, right? Because there is this elephant in the room of she's undefeated, right? She's beating everybody nearly. Like, some people get in a punch or two, but then they get put down, right? Like, rarely a full match. And so why is she the secondary champion? Why is she not taking on Thunder Rosa right now, who we already think is weakened? So, yes, I like this. Stokely Hathaway is just so shit-eating grin, just cheesy that you just hate him.
Best.
Like, he's fun. Yeah, he's good.
So here's the question I'll pose to you. Do we do a complete reset of Jade Cargill throughout this thing? And by the end of whatever story we're telling, it's Jade Cargill and her right-hand man, Smart Mark Sterling. And he comes in and he's like, all this shit is stupid. No. You know what got her to the top? This guy right here. And Jade goes, yeah. And then you can have Stokely Hathaway.
Like, he's got this evil baddies, right? Literally the baddies. And he even gets Kiera Hogan to side with him. And then they're all up against Jade. And then, then her old counsel comes around. He's like, listen, like, when I said, like, I'll care for you for life, I didn't mean that just as a contractual agreement, right? Like, let's do this again. Let's ride again, right?
And then you can turn Jade Cargill babyface through this.
Exactly.
And the money is in promos between Stokely Hathaway and Smart Mark Sterling, which can be fun or it can be awesome. Like, they're going to be serious.
It can be fun or it can be awesome.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I like that.
I'm so down for that idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other promo was 3 members of the Jericho Appreciation Society backstage. We had the 2.0 guys and we had Daniel Garcia. And first of all, the 2.0 guys are great, right? Like, they're doing the, what guy, what you guys, like, the Matt Menard, we didn't talk about this last week, but his promo that was released on thing, like, amazing promo, albeit, like, it wasn't leading to anything, so it'll never reach those, like, where does it fall? And I mean, it was a vignette more than it was a promo, but, like, amazing. So I'm tuned in whenever I see this guy, right? And their backstage segment, and I love how they're like, it was Shivani, right? And they're all up in his face, and he gives him the switchblade, and he's like, relax, it's a comb, right? Like, he's got the comb. But the Daniel Garcia promo against Wheeler Yuta was amazing, right? Where he's like, I get why you're gonna put me in a shark cage. Like, I'm violent, I'm liable to strike at any moment, whatever he says, right? And he's like, basically everything you've been trying to be, Wheeler Yuta, for the last several weeks, right? Like, you've been doing a Daniel Garcia cosplay for this long. Loved it, dude. Like, he just looked like, I came away with that like, oh shit, Wheeler Yuta's in trouble. This guy's sinister.
Because he better call all the dirty tricks that John Moxley and Brian Danielson and Claudio
he flat out said, he was like, you're not tricking anybody.
Yeah,
I'm gonna murder you.
I'm interested in that match. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view, I am definitely going to be getting, and that is one of the matches that I want to see. Obviously, the other one being FTR and the Briscoes, but this is a very interesting match. We kind of spoke about one of the reasons I don't necessarily love it, because again, you're AEW guys, but then you're fighting Ring of Honor. So who's the Ring of Honor talent? Is it just the Briscoes and everyone else is AEW just coming over, hanging out? Like, still a lot of confusion on that, but we'll find out when the pay-per-view.
Man, this Daniel Garcia promo was great. I was like,
very good. Made
me pay attention. Was like, okay, now I've got to watch the Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta match. When before, I might have been like, oh, Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, now let's get into the triple threat for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. It is Team Taz, consisting of Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Swerve in Our Glory, consisting of Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, and the Young Bucks, featuring Young Buck 1 and Young Buck 2. This was where the money was at, right? The first match was great. And like I said, you want to put a match in a capsule to show what AEW was in 2022. I think you put the first match in there, but you put in just some highlights and some fun for anyone that wants to tune into some wrestling. You put in this three-way tag team
so good
match. And this had all of it, right?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was great. Timing was great on a lot of these things, right? There was a lot of spots that could have went wrong, but didn't. Like, these guys really put in some good work here. And I thought the surprise at the end of Swerve in Our Glory winning, because I didn't expect that, right?
No, because now that makes the Young Bucks the first real transitional champion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they had it for a month.
Yeah, of anything, right? I mean,
yeah. At least someone else has gotten at least
any title, right? Like, they're
the first transitional champions, at least that we can think of. And again, we don't fact check here.
Well, we did get a tweet the table about this one. It was from Katie First Lady, and she says that was a fun ass main event. # tweet the table. And yeah, that thing was fun.
Oh, I thought the main event, or excuse me, not the main event, but the MVP of this entire match was Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
Ricky Starks at every moment knew that the camera was maybe going to be on him, and he took advantage of it at every spot. So the first time I started noticing it is when he wasn't even in the match at first. It was Swerve Strickland and Young Buck 2 doing all their shit, right? Where they're matching their flips and they're staring off it. And Ricky Starks is at all times just shitting on it. Just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, look at these guys. And everyone's clapping. He's like, oh, yeah, let's clap for that. Because like, he thinks he obviously could do it. Yeah. And screw these guys. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end, when he gets that false finish, when he gets the 2, and he's starting to cry as if like, I've accomplished my goal.
Yeah.
Just for it to be taken away from him. God, he was amazing.
Yeah, he was great through the whole thing.
He fits in no part to Team Taz, but Ricky Starks as Ricky Starks is awesome. Powerhouse Hobbs, also credit to him. The spine busters from hell on every motherfucker in the match.
You could see Keith Lee at one point started being like, hey, ho. You know what I mean? Like, he was putting his hands up like, whoa. Like,
let's take it
right
slow.
On my ribs, motherfuckers. Right on my ribs.
Yeah, he was awesome. The Young Bucks did all their stuff, and I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying
they had
did
good things too. Like Young Buck 1, when he thought he had the match won. Like, I mean, his facial expressions, which they have always been good at, right? Like, they're good at selling. They're good at telling. You know what I mean? Like they're good at the facial telling of the spot they're trying to hit and all that kind of thing. We think their storytelling's a little all over the place, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they sell when they're supposed to. They've got the right looks, the right facial expressions. They get the point across very well.
I even think at one point, Keith Lee took the shoe off of one of them and then like threw it down on the ground. Like, I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, well, so before we get to the finish, though, there was one moment where Swerve Strickland had the belt with the referee down or out.
Was that?
And he looks
so
like,
to me, that was a little odd because, like, why you wouldn't do that in the match, right? Like, you don't stain anything. You don't gain anything. This isn't like a Royal Rumble. This isn't.
But
you know what I mean,
I like it. I like it for this reason. It plants the seeds of, hey, because at the time they don't think they're going to win, right? So Swerve Strickland could be like, we're not going to win. This guy is just a waste of talent. I don't need him here. So I'm going to fucking hit him. And then he goes, no, we still have a chance. So I'll throw the belt. So now we know, now that they're the new champs and all the fun stuff, Swerve Strickland's not 100% in.
Yeah. So to me, before seeing that they, that they won, which we know, I thought they weren't going to win because I thought we were like, Young Bucks win this, right? It's too soon into the title. But I thought that would be where they go, be like, Keith Lee could have been like, we could have won if you didn't waste time thinking you were going to hit me. Like, you could have hit them and we would have won. And he was like, I wasn't going to hit you. And he's like, bullshit, look at the video. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not stupid. Like,
So
that's where I thought we were going.
Well, and I think that's where we instantly should go. Now, it feels a little bit like towards the tail end of Hangman Kenny Omega, where it's like they're friends, but they're kind of not kind of thing. But I think you go right into next week, or in 2 weeks, because again, Fyter Fest week 2 is next week. So the week after that, you do a championship celebration. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland are out here to say thank you to all the people that have supported them, except for Keith Lee doesn't think that this guy, and he points to Swerve Strickland, supports him. And then he calls to the footage and says, what's this? And Swerve Strickland like, we won. Hey, we won. It's fine.
Yeah, I won. Like I pinned him. I won the fucking yeah.
But Keith Lee just keeps doing this. You know what? And I think the payoff, whenever you want to do it, is Keith Lee turns on Swerve Strickland. And he's like, no, you never had my back. And I was going to stab you in the back before you stabbed me in the back. And I'm out of here. And that's where
it's not even, he flat out gives him the see ya one time, just out of nowhere. And we're like, oh shit.
So here's the question I have for you on the second half of this match, though, or on the other side of the coin. Team Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, they keep just losing. Man. What do we do with them? Yeah,
I almost, again, like we've got enough tag teams at this moment. Like, I think we've discussed where, like if we're not going to give them a run, these guys feel like it's time for them to start shining on their own then, isn't it?
I think so. And quick side note before we get into what I think with Team Taz, what they should do. We may not have all the tag teams. If you're seeing some of the Twitter conversation around
the LAX team there,
old Santana and Ortiz.
Apparently that's not going well.
Santana might be on his way out, which would suck because they never got to be champs.
Yeah, it sounds like those two are at odds from what they say.
Which, again, I think maybe they've probably been in the past, so let's hope they can work it out. That's my hope, but we'll see. Team Taz, though. I think this is where, as much as it's been fun to say, I think there is a true sentiment of pro wrestling fans like when big, meaty men slap meat, right? I know that's the fun phrase, but I think we like when the two biggest fucking guys in the room fight each other, right? So I think we need to start that now. On this side of the AEW universe, you have Wardlow, and he's just going through people. And then you start on Elevation or Dark, and it's Powerhouse Hobbs, and and he's taking out people to the point where Wardlow starts to like have him do that. WWE does from time to time a cool thing where they'll have talents. One will be walking up the ramp, the other one will be walking down, and they'll just cross and look and then continue, right? Something like that. Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks cut a promo. The next match is Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs with Ricky Starks, because you don't want it to be just a fist fight right there. Just have this glare at each other and go. And then Powerhouse Hobbs, you put him up those rankings, and then you have Taz be the mouthpiece for Powerhouse Hobbs, and it's like, Wardlow, you're not as big and as bad as you think. I got a powerhouse here who says otherwise. And then at whatever the pay-per-view is, you do Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, TNT Championship.
Dude, I'm all in on the Powerhouse Hobbs train. That guy, every time I see him, I'm like, fuck yes. Like, he's great. He's doing great right now. And yes, I think that's I can't think of anything better. I think that's the route they should go.
And Ricky Starks, honestly, you know what I would do with Ricky Starks? You had mentioned earlier, and I didn't see this, so I'm glad that I'm informed on this. But if we're going to say, hey, it's time for Hook to get into that top tier, mid tier type of talent where he's beating not just the QT Marshalls of the world, have Ricky Starks be jealous of Hook and have Ricky Starks say, Taz sees me as his son, not you. And then you do Hook and Ricky Starks with Taz going like, what the fuck is happening here? And you have fun with whatever.
Well, that's how you get Powerhouse like, hey, I'm out of here, man.
Exactly. I'm doing this. And they've done that before, right? Sammy Guevara did the like, I'm out of here. Now, again, he came back later, but like he did that, I'm out of here, and we bought it. Yeah, have Powerhouse Hobbs go like, no, 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 no. Bye-bye. I'm out of here. Going after Wardlow. Taz, hit me up when you're free to talk about that, but I'm not in this. And then you have Taz just holding these two back. And Hook is like, you think my father is your father? Like, make it about Taz.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's the fun, right?
Yes.
And then see what happens.
Love
from
it.
there.
Oh, I would love that. Yes. That's a great idea.
Well, hey, man, that was our AEW Dynamite episode.
Yes.
And so now I thought, let's do what I kind of always do here.
Every week.
Yeah, and I'll give you. So we've had 3 years of AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
So this week's list I wanted to give to you was the best matches, in my opinion, in the first 3 years of AEW Dynamite. So you ready for this?
Yes.
No particular order, by the way. I'm just giving it to you, stream of consciousness. I mean, I wrote it down, but I didn't rank it. I just wanted to put it out there. You tell me what yours is using hashtag tweet table. If I missed any, if I got them all right, let me know. You can also at table show or tableshow@gmail.com and give us your list. We'd love to hear it, as we typically do. So here you go. First one is, this one is a little bit more of a sentimental one because I was there, right? It hits a little bit more closer to home because I actually saw it in person. But I'm going first with Kenny Omega versus Pac, the 30-minute Iron Man match. Kenny Omega ends up getting the victory. Thought this was great. Both guys tore the roof off the place. It was a great way to say, hey, we're new to your area, but this is what we provide. Because again, that was the first show in Kansas City, and I thought it did spectacular. So there you go. First one. What do you think about that match? You like that one?
I honestly forgot about that match.
Well, Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness.
I'm not the biggest, like, listen, with Pac, I know you're like really into the Pac.
Love Pac.
But I'm just
He's
not.
a bastard.
I'm just not. I'm like, yeah, every time I see him, like, yeah, fine. And I get it. He's an angry guy, right? And he does that fine. And yes, I mean, like, he looks like $5 million in the ring. He's got 13-pack abs. And, you know what I mean? Like, right?
And he's angry.
And he's angry.
And aren't you angry?
Angry abs.
Yeah, angry abs Pac. There
angry
he is.
Abs Pac. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate, but I'm also like, I don't roll my eyes at it, but I'm just kind of like, oh yeah. It's one of those things where it's kind of like that bar, he set it so high that every time I'm like, yeah, of course, he had a great match. It's fucking Pac. It's what he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Side note also, forgot to mention, on AEW Dark, that same episode that Thunder Rosa lost her non-title match, Pac defended his championship for the first time, the All Atlantic Championship, for Rev Pro, or at Rev Pro, the Rev Pro show, and defended it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I also am not keen on the name Pac. I feel like we gotta at least have 5 letters for a name.
Nah, I like it.
I feel like we gotta, like, I'm gonna set a bare minimum of 5 letters for a name.
Okay, easy.
Edge, you gotta step it up too, buddy. Like Edge, I'm gonna grandfather Edge in.
All right, here we go. Let's keep it going.
Taz will get grandfathered in as well.
Yes, good. All right. From Double or Nothing, I've got, I think, the first signature match from AEW. Cody Rhodes taking on his brother, Dustin Rhodes.
Man, okay. All right.
What do you think of that one? You like that one?
No.
You didn't like that match?
No, I mean, I'm sure the match was fine, but it's not my top 3 favorites of.
No, I'm doing 10.
Oh, you're doing 10. Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing 10. Yeah. This isn't. Yeah.
We're going to come up with 3. Well, yeah, then it's probably in there somewhere. Yeah. No, I mean, it's fine. And the story was good, and it was new, and like that whole like brother thing that we didn't get, brother that we didn't get on the WWE side of things when this was still kind of some of that. That was some of the initial feel of AEW as a whole entity and a company and an experience, was finally this like, you don't need that over there. So that was part of this, and I agree that it felt big.
All right, here we go. We're going to keep it going. Young Bucks from Revolution. I've got the Young Bucks, which feels weird to say, but the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page.
Okay.
The kick out at 1 from Kenny Omega after he gets the BTE trigger, I thought was one of the coolest moments in AEW history, because he was so fucking mad that move that he's done with them millions of times, that they would have the fucking audacity to do it to him. I just like that got me. I mean, I still get chills now thinking about it. He's just like, you fucking assholes. I thought we were on the up and up with this.
Thought we were friends.
That bullshit. Yeah, like you're gonna pull this bullshit. Like, thought that was great. And then obviously post match, you get Hangman kind of looking at him sideways, like, I fucking buckshot Kenny Omega. Nah, I'll let him go. Right there we go. All right, here we go. We're gonna keep it going. Next up, I think this is the best street fight of all time. Singles, tag, triple threat, whatever you want. I think this is the best. I think it's one of the greatest matches of all time. I've got Santana and Ortiz taking on the best friends in a street fight.
That was so good. And Sue's mom, or Trent's mom, Sue.
Yeah. Sue's mom. Sue finishes it with the middle finger.
Yeah.
You have Orange Cassidy coming out from the trunk of a car. Every spot was clean and great. The action was hard hitting. The rivalry going into it was even fun, where Santana and Ortiz vandalized Sue's van. That's where she comes in at the end.
I think a hallmark of AEW is giving you those moments that will fit well forever in those like video recaps, right? Like they sum up the story there with Trent's mom picking them up in the van, right? Like, and taking them away. And she's like, yeah, fuck you too. Right. Like, because that was all based around that, right? Like, then they beat up the van, they threatened her. Like, it was great.
It was the best. All right. So then, as we keep it going here again on the list that I do each and every week, this is again AEW's best matches in the first 3 years of their promotion's existence. We've got from St. Patrick's Day Slam, the Dynamite episode, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in a lights out match. I mean, this is what put both of them on the map in AEW. Obviously,
Thunder Rosa's been riding that wave since then. Yeah,
she's been doing awesome. So is Britt Baker. You know, you have some iconic. I got it behind the green screen here, but I got some Britt Baker stuff. Obviously, look at the blood red DMD. Like, she's still riding that as well. Again, awesome. I think we've talked about that ad nauseum, which is as it should be, but we don't need to say much more after that. Then I got a surprise for you here. I've got a match that you're probably going to forget, but I flippin' love it. And I think it's his best match in AEW. I've got Bryan Danielson taking on Eddie Kingston. If you recall the Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson match, thought it was awesome. The contrast in styles, the mat based, I'm going to tie you in a pretzel.
Yeah.
And the Eddie Kingston, I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Obviously, what led after this was Eddie Kingston getting into the face of CM Punk when CM Punk's trying to cut the promo. But before that, I thought the match was spectacular. You get the triangle choke with Eddie Kingston flipping him off. It's like, you got me, but I'm still letting you know.
Great spot. Yeah.
You're number one as I go unconscious. Yeah. I love that match. I think it's Eddie Kingston's best match in the promotion's history for him. All right. Then I've got, this is, I think you're going to put in maybe your top 5, top 3, something like that. From Revolution, the dog collar match, MJF versus CM Punk. I mean, I put out a TikTok about my top 3. This is in my top 3. One of the reasons I said is a match is made better with the build going to it. And I don't know if you got a better build in AEW history. Maybe Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, but this story was right there. Or better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this was hard hitting. The other thing I liked about it is it had the brutality of all the classic Pat Patterson, Sergeant Slaughter matches, but it had the modern day pace where we're not just sitting there fucking bleeding from the head, staring at a camera guy to take the pictures. Like, we're still doing shit, right?
Yeah. Well, and just the great thing that MJF does, and CM Punk even attempts to do this, although he's a little more hit you over the head with it, but the historical references in the storytelling. Right. Like, and the use of that to further the character. And MJF, I think, is an all-time great at that already. And CM Punk has used that throughout his career. He's really leaning on the Bret Hart stuff as of late before he got injured. But I mean, he even used that in WWE, where he would use a lot of callbacks, a lot of pre-footage and things like that. And it takes a student of the game to do that. But this match was a big culmination of a lot of that.
And also it ends with the babyface turn of Wardlow with the diamond ring handed to CM Punk. So yeah, the whole thing I thought was just spectacular. Loved all of it. Next up I have for you from Winter is Coming, the win for Hangman Adam Page over Bryan Danielson. Thought that was awesome.
Yeah,
right.
Great.
I mean, we could go into like the spot, but it was a one flipping, painful, agonizing, brutally awesome, spectacular,
easy for you to say
bullshit. Yeah, it was just crazy, right? I loved it. Then I'm gonna go into another match that you probably won't remember, but I loved. It was a star-making turn for our guy Willer Yuta as he took on Jon Moxley.
Oh, this is the bleeding from the face match, right? Yeah.
Yep. Love that match. I mean, this is and he's looking like fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme from Bloodsport. They made t-shirts about the shit. Fucking love that match. And then my last match that I have for you, Tim, is probably their most creative match that they've ever done in AEW. I have a poster of it in my basement. It's the first ever Stadium Stampede match.
So great.
I mean,
I probably watched that thing 5 times. I think it was the most, I still to this day think it's the most entertaining pro wrestling match I've ever seen.
It's up there, definitely. Because
I might watch it tonight. God damn it.
Well, because it has everything for me, right? You want seriousness, you got the hard-hitting moves. You want like character building, Hangman comes in on a fucking horse because he doesn't go in with the elite because he doesn't necessarily trust them. You want comedy, you got Santana and Ortiz fucking walking in backwards into a kiddie pool because they're afraid to swim. You want more comedy, you got Matt Hardy doing his 3 phases of Matt Hardy every time they dunk him. You want big spots, you got, the one winged angel off of a fucking goalpost, I think it was. Like all the shit you could ask for, you got in this match. And that's why it's in my top of all time for AEW.
Well, noticeably, I think as you went through that list, one thing that comes to mind that I think is criminally left off your list is, I know you don't like these folks, it's the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros in the cage.
I considered that.
All out? Was that
I
all
considered
out,
it. Yeah. And I rewatched it because, to be honest with you, what was on the fence was Young Bucks versus Hangman and Omega, or Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros. And the reason why I picked Omega and Hangman versus Young Bucks, unlike the Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks, is the finish. The finish is still, it was great, right? The whole match was awesome. Yeah. When you do the fucking big move on everyone, but Penta jumps up and he's fine, but the Young Bucks are supposed to be hurt. And again, that's splitting hairs. It's, if I'm doing 11 matches, that's in there, right?
Might have been one of the best cage matches I've ever seen, though.
It's amazing. But that little, that took me out of it for a quick second. That's the only reason I don't put it in there. But it's an amazing match. It's awesome.
Honorable mention.
Outside looking in. That's what you got here on my list. Outside looking in is,
I like the list, and everybody should join in with theirs. # tweet the table, tableshow@gmail.com. All the things. And then I don't know if you got anything else to wrap up, but I don't know.
No,
I think that was good. That was a great list. AEW has been so fun over these last 3 years. It's only getting better. We got All Out's coming up again here, right?
All Out at the end of August.
And we might have to go to this. We might have to go to this thing. Stay tuned. Coming up soon, we've got our 9-year anniversary of this show coming up here in a couple weeks. We've got our 400th episode coming up in a little bit. A lot of things on the horizon, but until then, I think we'll just leave you with that, and we will say, I don't know, fucking go do something.
Read a book.
The Spanish Announce Table. The Spanish Announce Table.